But in the meantime, a Los Angeles socialite convicted in the hit-and-run deaths of two young boys is now accused of misconduct from jail. The DA is accusing Rebecca Grossman's defense team of tampering with the jury to try to get a new trial. The DA asking that Grossman be moved to a different part of the jail where phone calls are not allowed. Prosecutors say recordings of her calls reveal admissions to several criminal conspiracies and efforts to intimidate the jury. Now, this comes after Grossman was found guilty of murder after slamming her car into two young boys while racing her then boyfriend, Dodgers pitcher Scott Erickson. So joining me now, legal analyst and trial attorney Misty Maris. Misty, great to see you again. There are so many elements to this. So I want to start with prosecutors wanting Grossman's access to phones taken away. Explain why it's not okay for her to be on the phone trying to get her family, trying to get her lawyers to help her get a new trial.
Yeah, Nichole. So she's broken the cardinal rule of somebody who's incarcerated, and usually the lawyers really hammer this home. Do not talk about your case on the phone in jail to anybody but your attorneys, which is protected by attorney-client privilege. So there's several issues here. In these conversations that she's having behind bars with her family, she's talking about putting out evidence that was actually sealed in the trial, putting that out in the public sphere. That's going to be a violation of court order and perhaps tampering. She's also talking about communicating with jurors and getting them to say that there was some sort of misconduct. She's further saying that she wants to find a witness who did not testify at trial and get them to say that they were somehow coached or directed not to testify. So all of this could be considered witness tampering, jury tampering, and also could generally lead her to that place of where she loses those phone privileges with everybody except her lawyer. And that's to put a pin in this, because remember, jurors in California, their identity remains anonymous, and they're not supposed to have their contact information shared with the parties. So the fact that there's outreach to these jurors, that's potentially very problematic. Jurors could be dangerous, and it's something that needs to be nipped in the bud. And that's why you see prosecutors asking for this relief.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that a little bit more, Misty, because, Misty, there were reports her private investigator contacted the jurors. What are the potential ramifications of somebody doing that?
So what I'm thinking is, she's obviously teeing this up for an appeal, and that's legal. So it's legal for her lawyers to analyze any of the issues in the trial, any appellate issues, and getting them before an appellate court. I'm thinking that maybe one of the arguments is going to be that there was juror misconduct or something to that end, because they are sending private investigators to go speak to these jurors, and that's without the court's approval, and that's when these jurors are not supposed to be contacted by the other side. So that could be a potential issue. Now, what could it lead to? Loss of these phone privileges, that's number one. Some sort of admonishment from the judge which says to stop this conduct. That would be a little less severe. But at its worst, it could lead to additional charges. And Nichole, keep in mind, she's sentenced to 30 years as a minimum. It could go beyond that. All of this could be relevant to a potential ability to get parole during that time, considering that she might be breaking laws behind bars. So there's very, very serious ramifications to what's happening right now.
All right, and let's add to this, Misty, because it does not end there. She apparently sent a letter to the parents of the young boys she is convicted of killing. Explain why that is also not okay in the eyes of the law.
So there had been an order of no contact by her to the parents of these young boys. So therefore, in addition to that, she's violating a court order not to contact the family. So all of this relates back to exactly what we're speaking about. It could result in her mail, her not being able to send mail out without it being reviewed, and potentially only communications with her lawyers being everything that she can do, being moved to a part of the jail where she loses significant privileges. All of that is to try and keep her in line before the more extreme step of perhaps adding additional charges.
Yeah. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.